I'm going to break it down from you only need $100, if not free, all the way up to $1,000+. So whatever your price range is, I promise you can start in pattern design. My name is Kelsey. I am a Surface pattern designer, and in this video I'm going to be telling you how you can get started no matter how much money you can put in, whether it's $100 or it's $1,000. I'm going to break it down, tell you from beginning to end what you can invest in to help further your career in pattern design. So first things first is tools. I know when you first get into pattern design, it is quite overwhelming what tools you need to get, what tools you don't really need. Some things can get traded in for other things. It's a whole thing. So we're just going to go really quick list of tools that you could use, but you do not need all of these. So first things first, Procreate. Everyone's heard of Procreate. If you have an iPad, it is a great way to get started in pattern design and illustration because it's $10 flat fee. It's not a monthly subscription, and you can draw. So you can draw elements, you can draw full illustrations, and then be able to bring it into your computer to then make patterns or just do a little bit of more finite detailed work on your computer. Next, we have the whole Adobe suite. So that would be Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Capture. All of those are great. They're part of the Adobe subscription. It is a subscription. I believe it is $50 a month for the entire suite. For that suite, you'd be able to use Illustrator, which is amazing for pattern design because you can vectorize your work. And vectorizing is, no matter how big it gets, because it's not a pixel based like Photoshop's a pixel based, Illustrator is line based. So you can make your illustration as big as a billboard or as small as a pin. It will not lose its quality, its details. You know, when you zoom into a pixel-based image, it'll start to get really grainy. You'll start to really see those pixels. With Illustrator, because it's vector-based, with any vector-based, you can zoom in as close as you want. It's not going to lose the quality of that line because of how it is made. Next is a website. You can go the free route of a website, you can use your Instagram as a website, or you can do something like Squarespace that I personally use and love to have a website and particularly have your portfolio on that website. Next is going to be socials. Socials is important to grow your audience. It is not necessary. I definitely know a bunch of pattern designers that don't really use social that much, but still are able to get jobs and make money from their pattern designs. So social is part of the tools that you can definitely use. It's definitely a strength if you have a large audience or able to build one. You can get in front of people that you might otherwise not have been able to get into. If you have a large audience, or maybe you can build a large audience, it definitely opens up doors that otherwise may be a little bit more difficult if you don't have an audience. I know there's a lot of licensing agents that really prefer for their clientele to have a larger audience before they'll actually take them on. There's also box stores and things like that because it's kind of the same as influencing. If you have a large audience, you can sell to that large audience, and so that's more of an incentive for a company or an agency to work with you because you already have that audience that they can market to as well. Next are classes. Classes are amazing. Learning is always, it's an ongoing thing. You're never going to know everything no matter how long you've been in this industry. So places like Skillshare, YouTube, you can go and take college classes. You can take mastermind classes. All of these things I'm lumping them together as classes. Now we're going to jump into our very first category, which is $100. So if you only have $100, what would I suggest you buy to get started in pattern design? First things first, I'm assuming you do not have an iPad. Okay, if you do have an iPad, grab Procreate because it's $10. But I'm assuming you do not have an iPad because iPads are expensive. So for $100, I'm going to suggest Adobe because it is a $50 a month subscription. And I'm also going to suggest YouTube and Skillshare. Skillshare is a subscription-based platform as well, so you can choose if you want to do that or not. I believe it's like $200 for a whole year. And then YouTube is free. YouTube is free information. It's amazing. You can also look at places like Pinterest, just the World Wide Web. All of those places, you'll be very surprised how much information and learning there is just available through blogs, YouTube channels, Skillshare classes, all of those things. So for $100, I would definitely suggest playing with Adobe, learn Illustrator, learn Photoshop. You can use Capture to make textures like linen textures on the back of your patterns. Learn those things, get really proficient in Adobe because you will be using it a lot in this career. And also learning. You're starting out, learning is so important. So YouTube, Skillshare, all of those things, always keep learning. Learn different styles of design. Learn the history of patterns. Learn things like the arts and crafts movement, Victorian, mid-century modern. Learn all of those different patterns, and it helps you become a more well-rounded designer. So then when you can bring it into your own style, it's unique, it's punchy, and it looks very professional. Now we're going to jump to $500. So if you have a $500 budget, these are things that I would suggest buying. First things first is an iPad. They're mobile, it's amazing. You're able to use Procreate. Adobe also has Illustrator on there, and they have a bunch of their other programs that you can use as well. They have a new one called Frisco that a lot of pattern designers use. They also have Affinity Pro. Again, a lot of pattern designers use those. And it's a workhorse. It's an amazing tool to have. So iPad, number one. Number two is getting a membership of some kind. You have Patreon. I am personally part of Huffington Studios Patreon, and you just get so much value, and it's so nice to have a community around that. I know not everyone, I don't for sure, has a person in their personal life that is also going through this career choice or this career change. So having a group of people that understand what you're going through, that are growing with you, they're learning Illustrator with you, they're making patterns, you're celebrating each other's wins. It's so, so nice to have a community, especially, it's kind of a lonely job. Like most of the time I'm in this office by myself looking at a computer screen. So to have a community is so important. So for $500, I would definitely suggest, even the $100 one, I would suggest a Patreon. You can even join like masterminds depending on the price of those. There's a lot of pattern design masterminds. There's also free ones. I know Lizzie does, if you're a part of her email list, she does a weekly or bi-weekly draw with me, so you can just hang out and draw with other artists. And it's nice to have a community with each other. So $500 iPad, as well as a membership. You can also lump in, of course, the $100 ones with the Adobe subscriptions and just learning, always learning. Next is going to be our $1,000. So $1,000 means like you're going for it, you have the money saved, it is a serious thing, you are not joking around. For $1,000, I would suggest monthly membership. I know Bonnie Christine has probably the largest Surface Pattern Design membership. She opens it, I want to say, twice a year. It is a good chunk of change, but I have heard so many good things about it because you learn so much. It's in depth. It's a weekly, you have homework, you have assignments. She sends out a whole box of things with pamphlets and notes and all of these things, as well as having it online of videos and classes and all of these things. So you were learning a lot in, I think it's like a 6-month time period for her class. There's also a bunch of others. There's Make and Design. There is one that Karina Gardner has. Hers is a year long. It's very much, she has a master's or a doctorate in Surface Pattern Design. So her course is 1 year long commitment. It is very similar to college. So if you kind of thrive in that more academic environment, you could look into Karina Gardner's membership. If memberships are maybe not for you, I would suggest finding a mentor. A good mentor is not cheap. They value their time. They are excellent and proficient in what they do, and they have so much knowledge. So that's why they're in the $1,000 category. I'm not saying all of them will be $1,000, but to have a good mentor is honestly priceless. Everyone's situation is so unique. So to be able to have someone that you can go back and forth on a personal level and not like a group situation like a Patreon is really, really valuable. Now we're going to talk about the business aspects of things. So again, I'm breaking it down, 100, 500, and 1,000. But we're going to talk about the business aspect, because you can love to draw, you can make beautiful patterns, but you need to make money from those patterns. So $100, first thing coming to mind is Etsy. Etsy is a very easy thing to start, and you can get a lot of production partners. So they have like Printful, Printify, all of those things. You can put your patterns on products and then sell them in your Etsy store. So you are a business designed around your pattern design. If you are maybe looking into like fabric or wallpaper, I would highly suggest Erin Kindle's membership. Mind you, I'm not affiliated by any of these that I'm mentioning. I've just used them and I know how valuable they are, so I'm sharing them. But yes, I am not affiliated with any of them. It's just I've used them and I like them. So Erin Kindle's, she teaches you how to use Spoonflower, which is a wallpaper and home decor fabric store, as a drop shipper on Etsy. So that's really valuable. I would definitely suggest that. It would be, I believe her course is around $200, $100 to $200. So at the top of our range for this category, but it's definitely worth it, and you can definitely make your money back pretty quickly if you know how to market. Segueing from marketing in the $100 category, and honestly all of the categories, learning to market is so important. Making money not through licensing means you need to market your work. That's Pinterest, that's Facebook, that's Instagram, it's YouTube. You might have seen an ad before this video. All of those things is marketing. Learning how to market yourself and your product is so important to succeeding in making money from your pattern designs. Now the $500 category. $500 category, this one depends if you have an audience. If you do have an audience, I would suggest maybe reaching out to a licensing agent. If you don't want to be doing that back end work and contracts and negotiations, an agent may be perfect for you. Or you can start doing licensing by yourself. You can also do it in the $100 category. Sending an email is free. I would suggest for $500, you start looking at Facebook ads. So again, with the marketing, Facebook ads do cost money, especially if you want them to actually convert. I have personally not dabbled very much into it, but for this video, I did talk to a few friends who do Facebook ads on a regular basis, and they said it is a decent chunk of change. You could go anywhere from a couple $100 all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars for ads. It really depends on how good your copy is. So maybe getting a marketing agent for this, or learning a lot about Facebook ads and marketing before you start spending the money. So $500, maybe start looking at paid ads. You can do Google paid ads, which will show up on Google as well as YouTube. Or you can do social media, so Instagram and Facebook are together for Meta, and then Pinterest has their own. And the $1,000 one category, I'm going to mention websites. Websites are not necessary, but they are definitely very helpful. By no means is like Squarespace or even a free website cost a bunch of money, but for $1,000, I would definitely suggest getting a website builder and making it very professional, making it exactly what your brand represents or yourself represents. That way when someone goes onto your website, they know exactly who you are, they know the vibe you're giving, and they know if they are your ideal customer as soon as they see it. And that is something that costs money, or it costs a lot of time, because you need to have the brand colors, the brand voice, all of those things have to come together, and hiring someone or outsourcing someone as a web developer, a web designer can really help you save a lot of time and money and give you that like professional feeling that otherwise could be difficult if that's not something that you're very good at. Last one in this category is branding. If you want to go full on, dive right into the deep end, I would definitely suggest taking time and looking at branding for your business. Even if it's your name, it's still a business. You might be the face of it, but it's still considered a business. And to know who your target market is, maybe have colors, maybe have a brand story, have some marketing ideas already in place, having a style that's all very cohesive is so important to a successful business. It's not necessary, which is why it's in this $1,000 category, but it's a really good nice to have. And don't stress if you're not in the $1,000 category. This is something that you can build over time. If you haven't figured out your style, this is something that develops alongside your style, and slowly you will figure out exactly who you are and the person that you want to talk to. And those are the three categories. Those are the tools I have used and other people in this industry have used and rave about. Hopefully this helped you. If you are from $100 all the way up to thousands of dollars, you can start in surface pattern design. You do not need a lot of money. And I will see you next week.